All right. Let me get this going while I have a couple of minutes. Hi. Hi, Caitlin and Emma and Tuli the Unruly. I like that. That's cute. Yes, yes. I've been doing lives almost every night this week. Monday, Tuesday, today being Wednesday. Yes. All right. Okay. Hi, Christina. So we've got a full house tonight, and I'm going to be talking about fast-paced medical coding programs that are like 4 months or 6 months. And then I'm going to give you guys a coding tip about injuries. I'm excited. How's the light? Does it look good, or do I need to turn on another light? Let me know. Hi, Guy. All right. Okay, looks like we got a full house again tonight. Yay! All right. So, I guess. Okay, good. Some water here. All right, we can go ahead and get started. If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Tonight, I am talking about fast-paced medical coding programs and why it's not really a good idea to go through fast-paced medical coding programs, and about a coding tip that I have for injury coding. So, if you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. All right. Now, when we are talking about fast-paced medical coding programs, I am talking about programs that are 4 months or 6 months. 8 months is still a little fast, but 8 months is a lot better than 4 months or 6 months. I did get the question the other day of, Blue, you always mention that you cannot be prepared for medical coding in 16 weeks. And I am going to go to a school that they're going to have instructor led. And so what do you mean by not being able to learn medical coding in 16 weeks? So there's a very comprehensive list of things that you are going to learn when you are learning medical coding. And this is like medical terminology and anatomy and pathophysiology aside. This has nothing to do with that. That you have to have. If you don't have that as your base foundation, you are going to struggle with learning how to code. Well, Blue, I just need to learn how to look up codes in the book and I should be fine. No, there are rules when it comes to coding. You have to be able to interpret the documentation, because everything that you see is not everything that you're going to pick up. So with that in mind, some of the basic things that you're going to be learning while you are learning medical coding, the medical coding portion, you have to learn how to use the ICD-10 manual, right? That is your diagnosis book. You're going to be learning the guidelines, the coding guidelines. There are 21 chapters, so that is a lot that you're going to have to go through. If you are going through the Optum 360 ICD-10 manual, because there's different publishers out there, Optum just happens to be my favorite. This is not an ad for Optum, but I always talk mostly about the book that I recommend, which is from Optum. And it's 34 pages. And when you're going through there, yes, I recommend that you read the entire guidelines once per week. You don't have to read it in one sitting, but you should break it down to however it's comfortable for you to go over those guidelines repeatedly, okay? At least once per week. At least that's my advice. So you're learning the guidelines. You're going to learn about pregnancy coding, which there's multiple codes when you are coding for pregnancy. It is not simple and straightforward. You have to understand the rules about conditions that come before they're pregnant, conditions that develop while they are pregnant, conditions that develop after they have their baby, or if something else happens to this baby. So there's all of that. Then you got to learn your baby coding, right? For babies, your and then I was gonna say neonatal. That's what I was looking for. You have to learn your neonatal coding, because there's different rules about what is considered a newborn infant. Okay, and then you have to learn about your neoplasm coding, right? All your cancer coding. There's different things that you have to do. So there's that. Then you got to learn about injuries and injury coding, which I will be doing an example in a little bit. But again, you're using multiple codes when you are coding things like injuries or moms and babies and things like that. So you're using multiple codes. Then you have to learn about sequencing. So there's a lot of things, and that's just scratching the surface. I'm not even talking about like when you have to code for infections, and you have to have the infection, and then you have to have the source. What is the organism that's infecting the person. So there's a lot of rules and a lot of detail to the coding part, just the diagnosis coding part. That's not getting into the procedures part, the CPT manual, the current procedural terminology. And the one that I use is the one by the AMA, the professional edition. So there's, again, different publishers. I happen to like the AMAs. With the CPT manual, you have to learn about your evaluation and management guidelines, okay? Then there's different settings, and as the settings change, there is going to be different rules, right? As far as like what you need in order to get certain levels, because it's not the same across the board. Evaluation and management changed as of January 1, 2021. And some settings, the rules changed. Others, it did not. The ER is still the same. You still have to meet those points for your history and your exam and all that good stuff. So there's a difference in how these levels are calculated. So you have to be able to know that. You have to be able to understand anesthesiology coding. You have to be able to understand pathology coding. You have to be able to understand like all those different settings, and then the different specialties for all the surgeries. You have to at least have some kind of base knowledge. So this is why I say to get into these programs that are 16 weeks or just 6 months, oh yeah, and you'll be on your way to a brand new career. Guys, the people that sell these products, the people that say you can learn medical coding in a short amount of time and then you'll be real world ready, no you won't. No you won't, because if you have to be the one to put money out of your pocket, I am literally begging you guys every single time, don't get sucked in to these fast, slick programs that say, oh yeah, and you'll be on your way to working at home, and you can be doing things like, taking care of your family and still earning a living while you're at your house. What they don't tell you is that to get your first job in medical coding is a challenge. And a lot of people will think, oh, I can get this big money right away. And when I hear some of these figures, it really boils my blood, because it's like, that's what comes after you've been in the field for a while. You have to earn your stripes. You cannot just go in and expect to make a lot of money, like this ridiculous amount. Medical coders start out at a good salary already as it is. But some of these schools are saying you can make up to, and then they give the ridiculously high number. Well, people are going to look at that ridiculously high number first and expect that. And they're going to get really disappointed when that's not what they get right out of the gate. And so that's why I always tell people, I don't talk about specifics on my channel when it comes to dollars and cents, because it is different everywhere in the US. Somebody in Florida is not going to make the same as somebody in Michigan, Same thing for somebody in California. It's not going to make some the same as somebody in New York. So you really have to look at your area. And that's why I always tell people that. They get mad. There's nothing I can do if you get upset about that. I always tell you guys, you got to do your research as well. When it comes to being a medical coder, you have to be able to research, and you have to be able to know where to find your answers if you don't have somebody around you. So even while you're learning in school and you're going through one of these rapid fire programs, well, you know, they said I really don't need, and I've heard this before, and it was like nails on a chalkboard. They said, oh, that I really don't need medical terminology. I can just work with the book, like, and Google the answers. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, that is setting up people for failure. And that's what I keep telling folks. You cannot believe everything that you hear from these recruiters, from these teachers. Well, my teacher said that I need to get this alphabet soup after my name so that I can get hired right away. I challenge you to look at your local area for job listings for medical coders, and please send me the job listing that says candidate must have multiple credentials to get hired. Please, I'm asking for it, because I have never seen it, and I've always had only one credential throughout my career. I've been a medical coder for over 10 years. I've been a medical coder since 2008. And because of that, I've only had one credential. And I had the CCA, the Certified Coding Associate, which a lot of people trash talk because they say, oh, you can't get a job with that. Really? I got 4. And each one of them paid me progressively better than the last one. And I have made more than degree holders and people who have a slew of credentials after their name with my one CCA. And I've coded in the hospital. I've coded for same-day surgery. I've coded for the ER. I've coded almost every single type of specialty under the sun, with the exception of radiology. But I've done everything. So I'm very well-rounded. So there's not, if you're trying to concentrate on getting this big alphabet soup after your name, it's not going to help you. All it's going to do is make you put more money out of your pocket. Because when you have to maintain those credentials with the continuing education units, it gets very expensive very fast for something that your credential already says that you can do it, which is billing, right? We all get tested on reimbursement. So why would you get a billing credential? And plus, when you look at the job listings, they're not looking for billers to be certified. I'm just saying. So a lot of times when I see these quick study ones, no. Guys, you really want to take your time, especially when you're trying to learn this. If you really want to be serious and learn medical coding properly, go for a program that is 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months. Blue, that's just too long. I can't spend that much time in school. Yes, you can, because I'll tell you why. When you are in school and you are investing all that time in learning it properly, when you do finally get your job, you're going to understand what's going on. If you try to rush through and you try to say, well, I want to go through this 4-month program or a 6-month program and I'll be able to learn it on the job. Guess what? You're going to be audited. You're going to be tested, especially when you get first hired. They're going to run you through a process where they're going to let you code, and then somebody's going to do 100% audits, and then they're going to turn you loose. But you got to pass those audits before they turn you loose in the system. So if you can't pass those audits, you're not going to be able to stay. So this is why I'm telling you guys, the more you learn now, or the longer it's going to take you to learn, the better off it's going to be for you. If you want to supplement, if you want to go ahead and stick with a fast-paced program, or maybe you're already sucked in to a fast-paced program and there's literally nothing that you can do because you feel like you're not learning anything, but you're just kind of going with it because you've already paid for it, that's fine. Go ahead and finish it out because you've already paid for it. They already have your money. There's no sense in having a broken heart and no money. So you may as well try to get everything that you can out of that school. But what you have to do is take charge now that you know, right? And supplement your own learning. Go through my videos, right? I do have videos listed and in the description boxes, and I will update this video after after this. But when you go through those, right, I do have the books that I recommend. They're workbooks for medical coding, and it will give you like their affiliate links, so you don't have to click on them. But the titles are there, so if you want to search on your own for those, that is totally fine. But supplement your own learning, okay? Because you can teach yourself. I do have a video where I broke down the steps that you have to go if you want to teach yourself how to medical code on your own, because you can learn this from a book. If you need a tutor, there are tons of tutors on LinkedIn. I am a tutor myself. My rates are going to be in the description box after the video when I update. And they're all on my other videos as well. And I'm very reasonable. But if you don't want me, that's fine. You can look on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a ton of medical coding tutors as well. Don't be impressed with a slew of credentials. Make sure the person knows what they're talking about. Make sure they've been in it for a while. So that way, when they share their knowledge with you, you know you're getting a good deal. So that is my recommendation on that. Don't lose focus. Don't get discouraged just because you got taken advantage of. It happens to a lot of people. And there's a lot of people that they spend the money, they lose this money because they get so frustrated. Well, my teacher didn't teach me. And when you are in a program that is 16 weeks and you're trying to learn diagnosis coding and procedure coding and all the breakdowns that I just said, and that's not all inclusive. The things that I listed earlier are not all inclusive. It is only a fraction of the things that you're going to be learning. And I'm not even talking about Hicks picks. I haven't even told you about modifiers yet either. So there's a lot of things that go into all of these scenarios when it comes to learning medical coding. This is why I always stress to you guys, even though they say, yes, we have instructors that will teach you, you can learn this in 16 weeks. You can't, guys. There's no way that you can be prepared in 16 weeks, especially if you have no medical background. I came in with no medical background. I did get through my program quickly, but I am a studier, I am a reader, there's a difference. And I had my why. When you get into this, you have to have your why, right? Your why that says why you want to get into this, so that when you start to get discouraged and you start to feel like, can I really do this? You can dig deep and go for that why. My why was I was going through a divorce, and I was going through that change in life where, okay, I got to start again, because, you know, I didn't want to get divorced. Who wants to get divorced? But at the same time, it was the best thing for my situation. And I'm not going to live my life miserable either. You only get one rodeo, folks. I say this all the time. So for me, I was going through that at that time. And so whenever I felt like, oh, can I do this? Can I do this? That was my why. That I have to do this for me. I have to, you know, get my life going again. You know, I had moved back in with my mom, which is fine because I love my mom. and of course I would have lived with her forever, but she passed away. So, you know, for me, when I moved back in, I was just like, okay, I'm coming home, because, you know, she was there to support me through my journey in that part. And I say all the time, I owe my career to my mom. And I mean that, because I have a happiness with what I do. I have a happiness with medical coding. And people think, really, Blue? That's weird. It's not weird. It's not weird because of the simple fact that it's something that I enjoy, and I don't even feel like I'm working. So I think when you get to that point, that's really a blessing. At least that's my thoughts. Let's get to some of these comments. You guys are bringing it in fast and furious. I love this. Thank you so much. All right. Okay. Tanisha says, hello. Amelia, hello. Christina, well, I'm making strides in my program, starting anatomy and physiology. That's good. Shannon, hi. Brenda, good evening. Kaylin says, no. Yeah, everywhere in my town expects more medical billing and secretarial work with occasional coding. BT says, do research. Happy Mom, I'm in one of those 6-month programs, and I'm feeling very rushed because I have to complete this by mid-September. Justin says, yeah, patience hurts sometimes But what I realize is if I rush, I won't have what I need to know. That's right. I think specific EHR and code training is more in demand in the clinics now. I think of it like taking the bus. Each day, it's its own stop to your destination. That's true. 2.5 years here, BT says. Happy Mom says, I have a slight understanding of what I'm getting into because I work in the health insurance. So that helps a little, but also trying to soak in what I don't know, LOL. And sometimes it's hard when you don't know. You don't know what you don't know, right? Caitlin says, yeah, I didn't have the best program, but it did help me with the basics such as medical terminology and anatomy. So now I focus on parts that I'm not the best in. Christina says, I have been taking my time with anatomy, but my program says they just want us to learn the basics and there's no need to drill memorization. We'll put a pin in that one for a minute. Justin says, what Blue said makes sense. I went for AHIMA specifically because it is a year-long program and it's 13 courses. 13 courses in college is full-time. Yep. He goes on to say, it's like if you took 5 classes in the fall and spring and 3 in the summer. And Blue, we have to learn about all that plus anatomy, physiology, and medical terminology, etc. Yesterday, that person said that she got tested on medical terminology. Yeah, one of the viewers was talking about that. When she had her interview, they asked her specific questions about medical terminology. This is why I tell you guys, if you're going to invest in anything else to get yourself started in medical coding, investing in medical terminology, anatomy, and pathophysiology is beyond valuable for you because we have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. And with that said, doctors get 10 plus years to be a doctor, to learn all this good stuff. So when they get that much time and we have to go through a program that's rapid fire, yes, we're going to have to learn things on the fly. We're going to have to learn things when we get in there. But at the same time, if your school is telling you things like you don't have to memorize or you don't have to really work on medical terminology, just kind of get through they're just trying to get you through the program. They're trying not to get you all hooked up on this other stuff. But at the same time, that's an instructor that may not be aware that they're not teaching critical thinking well enough. Because people sometimes have to be like basic handhold, especially if you've been out of school for a while. Or even if you're young and you never really were into school, it's still difficult. And for adults, it's really difficult because if you're having to explain something to an adult, if the adult is not speaking up and saying, hey, I don't understand this, there's really no way for the instructor to know, right? So it is a two-way street. But at the same time, there are some instructors that are just like, they're not really good at teaching that critical thinking. They're just there to proctor from a book. So there is always that. My college goes through AHIMA. Grateful. That's right, BT. Happy Mom says, I'm just making the best of it and hoping to complete. And then when I'm finished, go over everything all over again. Justin says, there's too much crookedness in academia and it is all about money. That's right, because it's a business. And when they can sell you this dream or this lifestyle, you know, that's what they're going to do in order to be able to sell their business. Christina says, Justin, you are so right. Happy Mom. Oh, yes, I paid $1,900 for this to find out that there are longer and better programs, LOL. Justin says, I'm getting the money together for a AHIMA 13 course bundle and it costs $3,500. Vicky, hi. Career Step is what I'm in right now, Hannah says. In Career Step right now, I have 2 months till my course closes. Oh my goodness. So I know you're feeling the heat on that one. Hannah, that's what Career Step told me, and now I'm having to go buy my own materials and relearn. I felt that in my heart. I felt that in my heart and in my soul. Like, why would you do that, Career Step? the schools shouldn't be rushing students like that. You have to know the A and P in medical terminology forwards and backwards. How are people, that's very true. And how are people going directly through AHIMA? I can't find the lessons on their site. So AHIMA has a kind of a hinky way of getting to their 13 course bundle. I keep leaving that link in the description box, but it changes sometimes, so it's not always the same link. But I'll leave it again so that way you guys can find it. But it is listed there. You just have to go into the AHIMA store, I believe, and that's how you find it. And sometimes I've literally just put in AHIMA 13 course bundle and it'll pop up. Let's see how that's the link. Yeah. So let me see. How did I get it? Yeah, it's a little weird to get to. That's why I wish it would just kind of like pop up like right away. Like, but this the way it's set up is it's like a it's like an Easter egg hunt. That's what I always say. At least that's what I tell my providers when they have information all over the place on their notes. And sometimes if they have stuff that's contradicting each other, I said, what is this, an Easter egg hunt? You know, I'll have to leave it because I can't find it. It didn't pull up. But I'll leave it in the description, and I will also leave it in the community tab after the show. Hannah says they had a course, but it's self-paced, so anything I didn't understand, I'd call, and the instructor, and they basically told me to skim over and get the basics. God, that is so sad. Career Step says, since you will be spending so much time on coding, just get the basics of medical terminology and anatomy and physiology. But warning, you have to buy some of the extra books with that program, so factor that in. Yeah, and I didn't know that. When I was talking about it before on the other shows, I thought it was included, but it's not. So you're right, Justin. And it says $29.93 and 25 cents. But I called them and their books are extra. I was going to do Career Step at first through the U, but they have nothing but complaints on the Better Business Bureau. And the guy I talked to slammed the phone on my face when I said I needed a couple of months to get the money together. Wow, that is horrible. I spent about $6,000 at my local college. Yeah, so it depends on like where you are and stuff like that. That's why I always try to like give as much free resources as I possibly can, because if you can learn something for free about medical coding, you know, that's always a good thing. You know, you want to get that, but make sure that you're getting your information from good sources, because I've seen some, there was one viewer who asked me to look at a video. I was like, oh no, the coding was wrong. I was like, and it's kind of hard because I was just like, you know, what do you do? You know, so, but yeah, it was an old video and I couldn't comment. So I just like, I don't know what to say. All right. Justin says, yeah, I compared AHIMA's program to Weber State Associate and the same program, but Weber is like over $10,000. Yeah. I definitely do not recommend Career Step to anyone, says Hannah, but it was my option as a mom and a military spouse, so I could stay home with my kid. Yeah. So Career Step for some makes sense because, you know, they're able to use a MyCAA program to be able to pay for that. So that's good. If you're having to use it for that. But, you know, when it comes down to like the finer details of it, like how hands-on the instructor is and how much support you get, you know, it really all depends. I've heard some pretty bad things. I've heard some people that say that, you know, they had a question and they had to wait 4 weeks to get an answer for that one question. So for me, that's really bad. I mean, when you think about it, because if you're going to go through it that fast, I mean, you have to really hold on to your seat, because that is time that's going to go rapid fire. And then plus people have stuff going on personally during that time. I mean, I'm sure that not everybody is, you know, smooth sailing for 4 months. You know, there's stuff that happens, you know, in your personal life. Maybe, you know, your car breaks down or something, or, you know, something happens with a family member and that kind of thing. So to be able to concentrate on all of these things at one time is a lot. And so some people, you know, I mean, it really all depends, but you have to have your driver of why. You have to be able to say, well, I mean, I'm not getting the support that I need, but I'm going to go at this on my own. I'm going to try to reach out and find all these other resources that can help me. JustCoding.com is a free resource. They have a free subscription and a paid subscription, and they have free coding exercises on their website. So I always talk about that all the time. There's lots of other specialty websites that are out there. If you are looking for like cardio help, or you're looking for ortho help, there's orthoinfo.org, which is amazing because it does break down the understanding of these injuries and a lot of these organic conditions for orthopedics and podiatry. So podiatry has footfacts.org, I think is for podiatry. But yes, so there's plenty of specialty websites out there that you can look at to get a better understanding of the pathology of what you're looking at. And so that way you can go through there and see if that will help you, you know. Back to the comments. Unruly says, I'm considering an associate's degree at the state college so I can get reputable, high quality courses. It depends, because I've heard horror stories too about associate degree programs and college degree programs that the instructor wasn't hands-on with them, and they ended up having to pay for this very expensive education. So I would be asking lots of questions too. Hannah says, there's really no support. Yes, you're correct. You have to wait so long to get one answer, and you only get 20 minutes to talk to an instructor after waiting however long. Jenny says, anyone familiar with Purdue Global's University's online medical billing and coding program is 44 credits, and the total program cost is over $12,000. I think I can one-up you there. DeVry's program was 36. Yes, I've heard that. Brenda says, that's exactly why I am doing independent study. I can take my time and work at my own pace. Justin says, oh yeah, and Blue, if they get an associate's or bachelor's, they need to check AHIIM's website because only certain schools, the programs qualify for RHIA or RHIT, get it from the wrong university, and you can't get the RHIA and the RHIT when you graduate, and you're stuck with a certificate, I think. Yeah, a very expensive piece of paper, so that you wouldn't be able to sit for the degree designation. So that's why it's so important, and CAHIIM is the voice behind that. So I will have to remember to leave the website for CAHIIM as well. And if you look at that website, you can put in the program that you're going to go to, like that you want to go to for whatever college, and it should pop up. Because believe it or not, some of these colleges don't even know what they're offering either, because I've heard that from people as well. They're like, they were looking at them like they didn't understand what they were asking when they were saying, is this approved for AHIIM's RHIT or RHIA program, which I thought was weird, but I was like, whatever. I thought they changed the requirements recently. For what, Caitlin? Scary. These schools are a minefield, Blue. They are. And I've tried to be very upfront about that, because people want to get into these fast-paced programs, and they say, well, yeah, I'll be able to be done in 6 months and be on my way to a brand new career, and not knowing that the challenges that are going to come up when they go out and they're trying to get that first job, you know. So yeah, for RHIA and RHIT, No, you have to go through a program that is approved with, I can never remember. What did she say? What did you say? Like experience or schooling qualifications. That's a HEMA Direct. Click the link to see the approved colleges. Yep. But how does it go? CHA? No. The Commission on Accreditation for Health Informatics and Information. There we go. I had to think of like how to say it. I was like, how do I say it? But I can never remember. What is a CAHIIM accredited program? CAHIIM, CAHIIM, stands for the Commission on Accreditation for Health Informatics and Information Management Education. CAHIIM accreditation is a voluntary peer review evaluation that aims to ensure health information management programs meet common standards of educational quality. That is why they have that. So, it really is a minefield, and college can say that they are health information, but it is a useless degree. It is a scam. Yeah, you really have to ask a lot of questions. And if you don't know what questions to ask, that's what makes it even more difficult. So that's why I try to be like very detailed on my channel too about these things. And I get some comments sometimes from people that are like, oh my gosh, I didn't know all of this stuff. They never told me, they never said. And so that's why I try to be like always on here telling you guys, because you never know that one video may be the one that stops you from spending so much money on something that may not be able to help you. Hannah says, these schools are the only thing that have really saved my butt in this course. These videos, okay, these schools. I can read, guys. I swear I can. These videos are the only thing that have really saved my butt in this course. I'm so grateful. I'm doing outpatient, so some things are a little different, but there's so much help on YouTube. Yes, but Blue is right. It's up to you to pull yourself up and learn the information that you need, because you have to know that it's not them, that this, I'm doing better in coding the past month because I finally sat down and really got into my books. And that's what it takes, you know, that you have to sit there and concentrate and just really kind of get into it. But, you know, it just takes time. And sometimes it takes you a minute to kind of let it click. Don't be sorry. You know, you don't have anything to be sorry for. But you just have to take your time, guys. And that's why I always tell you, just take your time. And don't let anybody rush you. And don't let these schools say, well, you know, we only have a limited time offer, and you only have this much time to sign up. You know, you have 3 days to sign up for a program. Really? Because y'all are always having sales all the time. Don't give me that mishigas. Please, you know, whatever you do. Justin says, I play rain sounds when I study to help if I need background noise. You have to know this stuff, not the schools, to have this career. Yes, that is very true. But yes, that was pretty much why I wanted to say that, because, you know, just the question itself is just like, well, they have an instructor that's going to lead for 16 weeks. You know, I should be fine to learn this. You know, there's people that are trying to go through these programs with like just with a computer. But even though you have an instructor, there's no guarantee on the quality of that instructor. There are certain instructors that are really good, and they will teach you, and they will get in there with you, and they will give you those critical thinking skills. And then there are instructors that are going to be like, well, you figure it out, or it's easy, just look it up. Now, I have never said ever that medical coding is easy, because it's not. It takes drive and focus and concentration. That's what it is, because it's all reading. And believe it or not, some people get into this and they say, how much reading is it? It's literally all day long. 90% of what you do is going to be reading. So if you don't have that down, if your comprehension is not really like you don't like to read, then this is going to be misery for you, because that's what this is, is a lot of reading. Christina says, I am setting goals to get through both medical coding courses by August so I can focus on coding. Christopher says, the sound of rain puts me to sleep. I believe that. Yeah. Doreen, it bothers me that the book says what the code is, but it doesn't ever go into detail how to look it up. It's like a guessing game. What am I doing wrong? I don't have an instructor. I'm going to put a pin in that one for a second. I hate when the schools have 6 to 8 month deadline, and if you aren't finished, you have to pay double for 3 more months of study. Yeah. On YouTube, there's a lot of reading improvement videos. Tony Buzin, I hope I said that right, did a series on it. I like that. Thank you for sharing that. Doreen, you say, it bothers me that the book says what the code is, but it doesn't ever go into detail on how to look it up. It's like a guessing game. What am I doing wrong? I don't have an instructor. So I do have some back to the basic videos on how to look up codes in the book. But basically, when you're going through the index and you're finding where you have to start, because you have to go into the tabular section, which is where all of the codes are at. And it shouldn't be like a guessing game. It shouldn't feel like a guessing game, because the codes are finite. I mean, they're right there. When you look at them, it's right there. And so you have to do a lot of practice, and you have to go through the book, because when you are using books like there's some workbooks out there that will break down like how to find the code. And when you go through those, you just keep having to practice. That's why I say go to justcoding.com, because they have those free coding quizzes on their website that you can access, and you can be able to look it up in the book. And if you fail the test, you got to keep taking it until you pass it. And then by that time, you'll have gotten through the book a lot more. And of course, there's workbooks out there so that you can be working with the workbook and going through those. If you need, it sounds like you really need a tutor though. I mean, I'm not trying to sell, but I'm just saying, it sounds like you need a tutor, because you're missing out on that crucial part right there, which is looking up the codes. So I'm a tutor. You can look on LinkedIn. There's tons of tutors there as well. My tutoring sessions currently are $25 for the first hour, $15 if you need an additional hour. And sometimes it may just be the one session that you need just to kind of get you over that, like, I'm stuck. Like, how do I get this? How do I get that? And, different people charge different rates. That just happens to be what I did, because to me, that's just giving you guys a break, because I know it can get expensive. I realize that. And, the thing that I do when I am helping somebody in a tutoring session, right, is we meet over Zoom. And when we meet over Zoom, I think it's easier because you get to see each other and you get to see the reaction. And we talk in specifics about what is going on, because I've been in sessions before where, people get confused about like the index and how it breaks down into these subcategories. And they're just like, the book goes crazy. How do I do this? So we started to go through together how to look up the code. And so it was a little bit easier after that. And so it clicked. So when you have situations like that, it does help. So we go over things like that. If there's something that in specifics that you're telling me about, and I have a resource for it, I will send it to you after the session to kind of help you, give you another article. Or if you're asking me a specific question and I look up an article, I will send you the article as well. But it's about investing in yourself. And sometimes if you just need that one-on-one with somebody that really understands what they're doing, maybe that's what you need to kind of get you through that rough patch where you're not always going to feel like, I'm confused. Like, what am I doing? So that's the only way I can explain it. I mean, I've done the demonstration videos before, so maybe that will help you. When I update the video later, and I'll put the fresh thumbnail on it, I will try and see if I can put some of those old videos that I have back to the basics, where I'm showing you guys how to look it up. And see, for the longest time, I thought if I show them like basic things like looking up a code in the book, maybe they might not like that. Maybe they might be insulted because, you know, they think that really, why is she showing us this basic thing? But for some people, you know, they're learning on their own, so they don't have that, you know, and so maybe it might be helpful. I don't know, I guess I overthought in the beginning. So, and then I look at what you guys are watching. So your responses to my videos is kind of what navigates and pushes me to have whatever topic. This topic kept coming up about the accelerated programs, and why is it that you saying that 4 months or 6 months is not a good way to start learning medical coding? Because it's incredibly stressful. And I've said this many times, but never really talked about, okay, you have to learn about the 21 chapters in the ICD-10 CM, and you have to learn about all of the specialties in the CPT manual and things like that, and plus all the rules. So, you know, I never really got into that until tonight in this video. So hopefully that will answer your questions on that. And, you know, try to go for those programs that are 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months. And with the HEMA's program, it is self-paced. You do have 1 year to complete the program though. So if you get through it quicker, then of course you get through it quicker, but they do give you a year. So that is something that, you know, you can work it in a year, but remember, you have to maintain a schedule. If you are doing studies like that where it's self-study, you need to make sure that you're on a schedule, because if you're not, then you can let life get in the way. And then by the time you know it, time has passed and you didn't complete your program. Well, guess what? You've lost out now. And that's a few $1,000s that you're just kind of letting go up in flames. So you want to make sure that you get the most for your money, you know. Let's see. Let me go back on this one. Okay, just subscribe to your Patreon. I'm pumped. Oh, thank you, BT. I appreciate that. Justin, I think a lot of people would do better buying individual classes for a year. That would be helpful. No, it's helpful. I'm self-teaching as well and going to school. No, Blue, that's where you start the basics. Yes, Brenda, but what I'm saying is that when I started my channel and when I was doing back to the basics, people were not watching those videos. And so like when I say they weren't watching them, like literally I would get maybe 100 views and that would take me like 3 days to get. So that to me is very low. Even when I was a brand new YouTuber, that was low. So that told me that you guys weren't wanting the very basic foundation stuff, that maybe that was stuff that y'all already knew. So what could I talk about to engage the people to come to my channel? What is it that you guys want to know? So when I started to say things like day in the life of medical coder, or motivation tips, or study tips, or medical terminology tips, boom, 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 boom. So that's when my channel started to move. So I'm like, okay, because I'm listening to you guys, and how I am going through these things is how you guys are directing it. Because if you're not watching it, then my channel goes flat, right? And so that's, you want growth in YouTube, and you want to be able to listen to your audience. That's why I'm very attentive to you guys. What is it that you guys want? What are you needing? Because if you tell me what you need, then I can supply it, right? I can say, here's the deal, or here's the deal. And when I had last Christmas in July, right? I'll use this as an example. Last Christmas in July, I did weekends. So I had the show 5 days a week. Plus on the weekends, I did my Christmas in July segments, right? And I did the breakdowns for all the specialties, for 8 different specialties, because I did it over the weekends. So I did 8 different specialties. I talked about ortho, podiatry, and respiratory. I was going to say respirology. What the heck? Respiratory. And so I was breaking down all of these things, and believe it or not, those videos are like 100, 135, 125. I'm like, are you kidding me? And the rest of the videos during the week, they're just like on and popping. But those videos also, like, they're short and they were to the point, and it was just like, okay, well, this, and this. And so it's just like, there was no, so I was just like, okay, what am I doing? But, you know, I made a promise and I delivered it. So that's why I say, if you guys want it, then you got to be here for it, because it takes a lot of time and energy to put into doing scenarios, into showing the breakdowns of things. You know, when I did the study tips for ICD-10 CM to study the guidelines, that video's done amazing. Thank you all for watching that one. That was amazing. The view count on it is tremendous. But then I go to the next day, I had the external causes, to how to study the external causes, which a lot of people complain about. They're like, Blue, I don't understand this. I hate this. I don't want to do this. That one did not move quite as fast. That one is so important, you know, to know your external cause codes, and what codes to use and how to use them and when to use them. It can free you up to work in places like the ER, acute care, urgent care, ortho, podiatry, you know, any of those, even family practice, because they still deal with minor injuries anyway. So when you have that kind of knowledge, that's valuable. But again, when we do apples and oranges, external causes got left in the dust because it didn't do quite as well as the ICD-10 CM guidelines ones. And I don't know if it's because people are like, oh, I don't really want to do that one, but it's all a part of it. You have to get into everything, even if it sounds completely off to you. You still have to get into it. I'm just saying, let's get back to these comments, because there was a lot of them that come in. BT says, yeah, I could definitely see that. Erica says, I did a course from September to December. I didn't think I had enough training, and I think it was rushed. So now I don't know what to do. You keep studying, honey. You just keep studying. Keep going after it. You have to do your own studies now, because you went through your program, and yes, it was fast. If they didn't give you everything that you needed, then go back over the material again. Find yourself a mentor, find yourself a tutor. And even if you need to pay for that tutor, that's okay, because that's a small investment into, you know, getting to learn this stuff, because you started this career, you got to see it through. And that's what I'm going to leave you with for the moment. Vicky says, don't worry, Blue, about getting simplistic in your videos, about showing how to look up a code, etc. New people are watching all the time, and this can help coders to make sure that they're doing stuff right. Were you able to do the exam? I think that question was for you, Erica. BT says, they are very helpful, and it's very specific niche in the algorithm. Yes, and that's unfortunate. Well, I mean, not really, because there's, I mean, it's, you know, the pool, right? It's not like makeup, you know. The makeup uses, if I did makeup, you guys wouldn't know who I was. There's so many that are so much better than me with makeup anyway. But part of the reason they may not be watching Blue's instructional videos is that people who go into medical coding programs either do not graduate or quit the market. Yeah. Are you able to print out your coding quizzes from Patreon? Heck yes. Because I finally got smart. So before, when I was doing the quizzes, I would just kind of like paste them into the thing, right? And not saving them as a PDF. And I'm like, Mensa. So I finally started saving them as PDF, and I attached them. So for the crossword puzzles, for the matchup worksheets, for the other worksheets that I have, now I've been doing the PDF forms of it. So you don't have to right click and save and do all this other crazy stuff. I do attach the PDF to make it a lot easier. Part of it is because many schools do not prepare people. Brenda says, I love scenarios. I know you do. I struggle with external cause. I need to watch that video. Yes, you do. Where did it go? Where'd it go? And part of it is because medical coding is challenging and people quit anything that's not easy. Yes, that is so true. When the going gets tough, sometimes tough, the people just get going, and the tough, have to kind of stick it out on their own, And so that's why I say, you can't run. You can't run from your goals, people. Because if you do, you're always going to run, Lisa says, check out the, there we go here. If that was a question for me, no, I didn't get to take the exam yet. They have an easier exam than the full-blown CCS, the entry-level CCA for a HEMA. Not sure about AAPC. Hi, Edel. So Erica, when are you planning? Not trying to put you on the spot, honey, but when are you planning on taking your exam? And do you know which one you want to take? So if you can get those questions, those answers to me, so that way I can know where you're going, or if you know where you're going just yet, because I can always answer. Now we're quiet. But yes, when you are looking at these programs, guys, please just go for the 9 months, 12 months, or 18 months. And don't try to get ahead of yourself, thinking that, I have to hurry up and get out of school and I have to hurry up and get this really good paying job. You'll get there. You have to know the foundation first, and you've got to get all those backgrounds first, And another thing too, when I used to do Quiz Friday, people stopped watching that too. So, that's the thing too. I want to take the exam this year, and I wanted to take the AAPC one. I didn't know there was another one to take. So with AAPC, they have where you can take the test. If you take that one, where if you fail it, then you can take another one again. You can do a retake. They don't have that all the time or with all the bundles, because I think there's some of them that if you take it at home, you can only take it once. And the AAPC exam, the CPC, is multiple choice. So you literally have 150 questions that are multiple choice. Justin says, I'm almost impatient that I have to wait until September to start. Almost feels like this has the qualities of a great study group. Well, I like to think so. Chelsea says, where to go, Chelsea? Okay, might not be a smart question, and I need to do more research, but would billing and coding be the same as HIMT? Can you spell out HIMT for me? Because I know, but I want to make sure that we're thinking the same thing. Health information management technology, are you asking that? Minty says, hey, Blue, the link that you provided didn't you get that response that I got? I responded to you. I responded to that same link. And I put the video in there. Hannah says, I'm going to be taking the CPC through AAPC. Brenda, I love Quiz Friday. Thank you. Thank you so much for the info. I'm going to subscribe to your Patreon. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. But yes, when you are trying to decide which exam you're going through, you've been out of school since December. So, we're already in the 6 months. You're 6 months out of school. So if you are practicing the book like you're supposed to, or you should, that's going to help you. And Justin, I know you say you're waiting, right, to before you start, but you can always get yourself a medical terminology book and start with the flashcards. And there's lots of there's some really good medical terminology links that I did in that terminology video that I did. So I will update, and let me make sure that I remember medical terminology. Let me write this down before I forget. Medical term. video. And I'll go ahead and put that video link in here. And it's got the link for that website that I recommend for medical terminology in the description box of that video. Yes. There's that channel that I recommend. The Institute of Human Anatomy is the one for, is that the name of it? Let me go over here real quick. I updated the link because I had posted the link and I posted it like straight from, it says share this channel, and I posted it straight from there, and then everybody was complaining that it wasn't going up, like it wasn't opening. So I was just like, okay, that's weird. So I went ahead and I posted the video that they did. So I don't know why, what the problem was, but it's the Institute of Human Anatomy is the channel that I recommend for YouTube for medical, for not medical, but for anatomy. So that will help you. I should start on medical terminology. Yes. Chelsea says, yes, ma'am. Health Information Management Technology, a local tech school, has a program for HIMT. Are they training you for medical coding credentials like AHIMA or AAPC credentials? Chelsea? Because sometimes they have these programs and they have them like with these weird names, and then they have them they have you being trained with like another association that is not AHIMA or AAPC. So I'm always kind of weary about that. Erica, if you have the books, maybe you can brush up on it and do a little self-study in the medical terminology and stuff, and take the entry level CCA and then apply. You know, and so with AAPC, you know, you have to be a member before you can pay to take their certification exams, right? And so there's that added cost. For AHIMA, my hair looks very flat. It is very humid outside. That is why. I've been a medical assistant for 5 years and want to do something different that is not nursing. You're in luck. You have a lot of transferable skills there, Chelsea. Just saying. But with what I was saying with AAPC, and they have that fee for the they have the fee for their, what is it? The membership. Why did I blank? AAPC requires you to be a member before you can pay to take one of the certification exams. Then you have the fee for the test. With AHIMA, they do not require you to be a member of their association. However, they do have a separate price for members and non-members. So, you know, that is always an option. The CCA is the shortest exam in the industry. It is 2 hours, but do not let its size fool you, okay? This exam is considered the entry level because it is testing you on both inpatient and outpatient, right? And a lot of people will trash talk the CCA. I had the CCA for many years and I did it stubbornly. I held on to it as long as I could because I wanted people to know that even people with the CCA can do anything. I got 4 jobs with the CCA. And again, each one paying progressively better than the last one. So because of that, you know, I was able to code for anything and everything. I coded for hospitals and I coded for same-day surgeries and all that good stuff. And I've been a trainer, I've been an educator with this as well for other coders and for my providers. So you can do anything. You really just have to go for it. I mean, you really have to just dive right in. And so with that, you know, if you end up taking that one, you know, there's no free retake on the CCA. But if you pass it, it says that you can code both inpatient and outpatient, and that is a lot already. So it's just something that, you know, you can look into. HIMT is usually teaching about the computer technology of HIM, i.e. fixing the systems. Really? Justin says, and Chelsea, maybe your hospital offers a tuition reimbursement for medical programs and they can see what kind of work they need. And Janet says, definitely would look for an AHIMA or AAPC program. A lot of jobs offer tuition reimbursement for full-time workers. Chelsea says, we work in cardiothoracic surgery office. My coworker told me about AAPC. Took the CPC through AAPC exam in person and at home, and found at home proctor to be less stressful. Finally passed in February. Congratulations. Stay the course. It's worth it. Yeah, my husband has an associate's in HIMT. You see, and that's why I say there's like a lot of people say it differently. You know, they say it like different stuff, you know. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that though. And Janet, I appreciate that. Justin, my hospitals or company we work for just bought out another one. We officially start in September. Wow. So I did promise you guys a coding tip. So since we are already at a little over an hour, sorry guys. All right, I printed these because I am not advanced when it comes to editing and doing all this fancy stuff on here. I will eventually get there, people. However, I'm not there currently. So we're just gonna have to go with my low rent way of showing you guys these codes. So I printed them out, okay? So hopefully this will help you. All right. I got a question the other night. Blue, when a patient has had an ORIF, right? Like a surgery, right? Open reduction, internal fixation on a broken bone fracture, right? Do you use the Z codes in conjunction with the injury codes? No, you do not. You never use the Z codes like for the aftercare or for changing dressings or taking out sutures. You never use those Z codes in conjunction with the injury codes, because with injuries, it's already an understood part that you're going to have dressing changes, you're going to have suture removals. So because of this, you are only going to report the injury code with the appropriate 7th-digit character. So as we all know, the 7th-digit character on the injuries, the last digit is either going to be an A, a D, or an S. The A is for the initial or the active treatment for injuries, right? And the D is for that subsequent care, when the patient is in that healing phase and they're going through and everything's working out okay, and they're post-op and everything's fine, you know, that's when that D is going to come into play, okay? And then the S for sequela. Again, I did say I'm going to do a video. I am going to have to film it separately because sequela is its own little animal. I love sequela, but again, it's going to take a minute to explain because it can get really confusing really fast. I like explaining it because to me, that's like the best part of injury coding, because this is saying that something else is going on that's related to this injury. And I like when they have those, because it's just like I get to know more about this process of these injuries. So the example that I have today, and yes, I'm going to go a little bit weird because I started off today with the subsequent care. I didn't do the initial because the question specifically the other day was, do you use those Z codes in the aftercare? And I wanted to show what the aftercare looks like. So this is what the aftercare codes look like for the, yeah, you can still see it. For the, yeah, it's going the right way. So these are the injury codes, right? And this is if a patient is has a fracture of the lower end of the right radius, right? And they're coming in and they have, you know, a normal post-op visit, everything looks good. And they also have their external cause code here because this is telling more of the story. They fell, you know, without hitting anything else additional, but they fell after they tripped, right? So this is what your diagnosis codes are going to look like. Even if they change the cast, okay? So you're not going to have any Z codes. You're not going to have anything else. It is literally, if that's all they're being seen for, It is just going to be these injury codes. Now, what does the procedure codes look like? I'm watching myself and I'm seeing the playback here. So these are what the procedure codes are going to look like. So in this scenario of this fracture of the lower end of the radius, they're having their cast replaced, right? So I'm talking about the cast replacement, and I'm showing you the post-op code, which is at 99024. This is what tells the insurance company or anybody looking at these codes that this patient is in a 90-day global period. And they're still in this 90-day global period simply by having this CPT code 99024, okay? And again, this is what you use when the patient is in the post-op, because they're not going to get an evaluation in management for things that are related to this injury, because this injury has already been paid for. These subsequent visits in these next 90 days are going to be covered all in that first payment, okay? So the doctor's basically going to be following up, making sure they get their cast changes or any other checkups that they need, any other x-rays and stuff like that. So that's what they're going to be doing during that period. And again, that's how the insurance company knows, okay, this patient is in the post-op period. I am also putting on the cast supplies, because when a patient is in the follow-up and they're in the subsequent phase, okay, this does not apply, this HCPCS code does not apply to the initial visit. This only applies in the subsequent care, because you can charge for the casting supplies. When you are charging for a replacement cast, you can charge for the casting supplies, which is the Q code, and that is the HCPCS code. So this is what the codes look like. Is it in there? Is it? Yeah, it's in the shot. So this is what it looks like. You have the 29075 with the 58 modifier, and with the right side, the application of the cast, because the fracture was on the right side, the right radius. You have the 99024. It is a follow-up visit normally included in the surgical package to indicate that an E&M service was performed during a post-operative period for a reason related to the original procedure. And then you have the Q4010 for the casting supplies, short arm cast, 11 years and older, fiberglass. Brenda says, do you use the same 7-digit character for both injury and the external cause? Yes. The exception to that is when you have like a delayed healing, okay, it's going to have a different letter at the end, okay? So I think it's G. So that's when, you know, it would be G, and then it would be D for the external cause code, because they're in the subsequent phase. But when you have like an initial injury, right? I've seen this happen, where they have an initial injury and then they try to put the external cause with the D for a subsequent, right? Because they said, oh, well, they got this injury a long time ago. No, no, no. Just because they got it a long time ago or a couple of days ago, that 7th digit needs to match, right? For the most part. Again, if it's an open fracture, it's going to be different at the end. It's going to be a different letter at the end. So if it differs from the external cause code, that's okay in that situation as well, too. But for the most part, if it is A, it's going to be A. If it's D, it's going to be D. If it's going to be S, it's going to be S. So that's a very good question. Blue, if you have one of those codes, can you call the insurance company and ask how much they're going to charge you? I believe when you call the insurance company, they'll say how much is allowed, I think. But yeah, because I've done that before, where they said, well, do you know, I was going to have, I think it was when I had my gallbladder taken out. They said, well, do you know what the procedure code is? And I said, yeah, and I gave it to them. They go, oh yeah, your copay. They told me what my copay should be. Because the hospital didn't know. So I think that was how it was. I remember calling them for some reason, and they wanted the specific CPT code. So that was how they did that, you know. But yeah, you can totally do that. Hi, NC. But yeah, so that was my little demonstration there, my coding tip, because I am going to try to get more into the coding tips. as inspired by the amazing Brian Quee, who is the medical coding geek. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, I hope that you do, because he's got a lot of really good content on there. And you know, geeks got to stay together, guys. You know. So anyway, but yes, so take a look at these codes here. So when you are in that post-op period and you're doing those kind of cast changes and things like that, you know, knowing those, how to use those modifiers, at 58 is saying, the 58 modifier, if you don't know, is saying that this procedure is related to these, to the main procedure in the post-op period. I'm kind of saying the same thing, right? But I have to get the book actually out. You know what? Let me do this real quick. What is modifier 58? Because I know how to say it, but I don't know why I'm blanking all of a sudden. 58. But this means that it's done in the post-op. Okay, modifier 58 is defined as a staged or related procedure performed during the post-operative period for the first procedure by the same physician. Okay, same physician, and it could be the PA in the same office. Okay, it's still considered the same physician. A new post-operative period begins when the staged procedure is billed. Okay, so that is what Novitas says. If you are interested, Novitas is Novitas, is a very good website. It's Novitas and then a dash solutions.com. Very good page, very good page to learn about modifiers and other things. It's a very good resource. It's a free resource, just so you guys know. So yeah, so that is my coding tip. When you are looking at those subsequent visits for injuries, you are never going to code like the aftercare, orthopedic aftercare, or any of those other codes when it comes to a injury. You're only going to report the injury codes. And there is no national mandate for the external cause codes, right? However, we can always demand better from our providers. And this is why I say this is so important. If you have a patient who has been in a car accident or has workers' comp and any kind of injury like that, or something related to like a house insurance claim or whatever, it's so important to carry that method of injury through in the documentation. How did they have this fracture? Because they fell. You never know. Something else could happen to this patient, and you never want the information in the record to get muddy. So you want to be clear every single time. How did this patient get injured? Because in the outpatient setting, we can only go by what is documented on that day. We cannot reference all these other days past. No, you have to code what is there. And so that is my advice today on my coding tip of the day. So I don't know if I'll be doing these daily, but I will try to incorporate more of them, just so you guys know. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. This was a long one tonight, folks. But I hope that you all enjoyed it, because I like giving information to the people and I enjoy our conversations. So if you haven't already, I hope that you'll hit that subscribe button, because I'm still at 55% that are not subscribed. I know, right? I'm shocked as well. So subscribe, like, share, and I will see y'all on the next video. Bye.